Welcome back to New Day Northwest. There's no doubt our communities are seeing an increase in the number of people seeking treatment for drug addictions. This is especially true when it comes to opioids and meth addictions. And it is critical that we research and find innovative treatments to help them and to help all those who are addicted. Dr. Thomas Robey is an ER physician at Providence Everett and is the principal investigator for several different drug trials. He joins me now. I'm thrilled to be able to sit down and chat with you about these innovations. But first, your work is so important. You are an emergency medical physician. What have you been experiencing over the last few years in regards to this?
You know, with regard to the addiction that we're seeing and how that's impacting our communities in Everett and Snohomish County, it's similar to a lot of what everyone seems to be seeing here in the Puget Sound area. Drugs like fentanyl and methamphetamine are dominating the brokenness in our communities. It's
brokenness. Yeah. It really is. You focus on Snohomish and Everett areas, and you mentioned it's very similar to what you're seeing here.
Yeah, so the meth and fentanyl crisis in Puget Sound extends all up and down the I-5 corridor. And different communities have different challenges, certainly.
Right.
But there's very few people who haven't seen the effects of addiction, if not experienced it themselves or with family members.
Right. And we talked a little bit about that before we came on TV just now, about how, you know, I've seen this personally in my life, people I love being affected. It's really, when you go through it, it's not the person that's acting like that and acting in a way that is horrible and you think you can't understand. It's the drug, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're trying to innovate in the emergency departments in the region, and especially at Prov Everett, is figuring out ways to connect with the people who are affected by the addiction.
Right.
And so treating people where they are and figuring out a way to keep them safe and reduce the harm that they might overdose, and maybe even get them a couple steps closer to reintegrating with society and doing what they want to do with their lives.
And it's possible.
Yeah,
it really is. We've seen it happen. So tell me about the trial for the meth addiction treatment that you're doing right now at Providence. It's called Method or Method?
Yeah, that's the abbreviation for a kind of long clinical trial name. But what this study has been looking at is a monoclonal antibody that binds amphetamines. And a single injection has the effect of removing the meth from the bloodstream. And in the process, this antibody can shuttle meth away from the brain, where it's causing the effects of the addiction, and move it to the kidneys and the liver so that the body can process that out. And this antibody stays in your system for more than a month. So a single injection has the effect of tamping down the effect of the meth.
I am speechless. Yeah. This is incredible science.
It is, and we're super excited about it. And it's really early in the FDA trial process. We've just completed stage 2. There are 3 stages of an FDA trial. And we're really excited to see it implemented more widely as soon as possible, but it may not be for a couple of years.
Understood. And it takes a long time to make sure that all the things are done right. What have the results been so far?
Well, you know, we up in Everett enrolled so far more than about 2/3 of all the individuals enrolled throughout the country in this trial.
Okay, wow, really happening. The science is really happening at Everett.
That's right. There's a lot of meth out here. And so, and what has been really heartening is that the folks who get the drug versus the control, they're coming in 30 days looking like new people.
Really?
They're coming in with their parents, with their loved ones. They've got jobs, they've got IDs. Maybe they've moved from being unhoused to having a shelter, right? And it's amazing. It's like a night and day game changer, this particular drug.
I have so many more questions about kind of the overall helping the human, you know, with therapy and healing and all those things. But I do want to talk about fentanyl real quick, because you have a fentanyl overdose trial as well.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing that kills people in the drug addiction side of things right now is fentanyl, right? This really cheap, really accessible drug that gets cut into just about everything on the street, whether it's meth or cocaine or even marijuana that you get on the street. It has the fentanyl. It can kill you.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to figure out is when you've overdosed and you show up in the emergency department, how do we keep you alive? Because those individuals are at most risk of anyone I see, any cause in the emergency department, they're the most risk of dying in the next 30 days. And so we're testing out a new way to pair these folks who've just overdosed with a peer who has lived experience with addiction, who can come alongside and see, hey, how can we help you reduce the risk of death?
That is amazing. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. We are so grateful. And to learn more about Swedish addiction recovery and recovery services, visit the website on your screen. And of course, if you're experiencing a mental health or addiction crisis, call 988 at any time from any phone. All right, coming up next, we are going to talk about a fun and interactive way to celebrate Dad who loves beer. Stay with us.
This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by Providence Swedish.